Hello everyone, hello Professor. My name is Ntamack. I'm a student at the Grand Canyon University, College of Science, Engineering and Technology. Currently taking the Cyber 610, which is the penetration testing and risk management. And today we'll be talking about the lab 4, which is our second half, part 4. As the assignment goal or the objective, so we have to enumerate the target, which is the characteristics 2 machine, and then we have to realize NICTO, OWASP, ZAP, and Nexus to discover the vulnerability, and then we have to compare NICTO and OWASP, ZAP, and identify and define the CIF, which is the cross-site request forgery, and the XSS, which is the cross-site scripting. And then we have the plantation data, so which is the flaw that methodology used for characteristics 2, the vulnerability analysis and mapping, the tool and technique, trace vulnerability to root cause, identify the attack vectors, and the recommendation for vulnerability disclosure. Without further ado, we are on our Kali Linux. We basically found the Kali Linux IP address and the target IP address by running the command Ntamack. So our target, which is the characteristics 2, his IP address ends with 56.4. So after that, we were able to install NICTO and then run the command NICTO.h and the IP address. So by running the command, we were able to find the target IP, the target host name, the target port, and the start time of the command. So when we run this, we have a lot of vulnerability, such as the server, which is the Apache 2.0.52, which is outdated. And then we basically also saw that the HTTP trace method is active, which suggests the host is vulnerable to XST. So XST stands for cross-site tracing. It is a method that involves the use of the cross-site scripting, so they are pretty similar. So it involves the use of the XSS and the trace or the track of HTTP method. So those are the two that we are going to mainly focus. So this is the OWASP ZAP tool that we have used to find the vulnerability. So as you can see on the left and right side, so we launch our attack using the URL, which is the characteristics to IP, and then we run the attack. So by seeing on the active scan tab, we found that the robot and the sitemap was not found, but by going on the spider tab, we were able to find that to see that they were present or found. On the right side, on the alert, we found nine alerts, such as the SQL injection, the absence of anti CSFR, the missing anti clickjacking header. So those are the type of vulnerability that we found using OWASP. So now the third tool that we use is the Nexus. So after configuring Nexus, we were able to run a scan. As you can see on the left side, the name of the scan, which is my last name and the capital 2, when it was completed. And then you can see at the bottom left the number of vulnerability we found. So we found 2 critical, 27 high, 22 medium, and some low and informational. On the right side, you can see that most of the vulnerability found critical and high was based on the CGI abuse. So by clicking on the vulnerability, we found that the PHP unsupported version was detected, and then so the only way to mitigate this was to upgrade to a newer version, to upgrade to a newer version in order to harden or to secure the system. And then you can see on the right side you have more detail about like the plugin detail and the rigs information. Here is the comparison table between Nikto and OWASP. As you can see, Nikto is a web service scanner, while OWASP is a web application security scanner. Nikto has a goal to find server vulnerability, while OWASP find the application vulnerability. Nikto use the command line, while OWASP use the GUI. And then in order to use Nikto, you have to have some command line interface skill needed. While OWASP, you have to, it's really easy. So it's a click and go because it's used GUI. And then Nikto detects the outdated server software misconfiguration, while OWASP detects the cross-site scripting and the cross-site request forgery, and they both are open sources. So here is the difference between the cross-site request forgery and the cross-site scripting. So the cross-site request forgery is a web security vulnerability that tricks a user browser into executing unwanted action on a web application in which they are authenticated. So the key point we can take from this attack is it relies on the victim being logged in, and then it exploits the trust that the site has in the user browser. And then to mitigate it, you have to use the CFR token and the same site cookie. For the cross-site scripting, it is a vulnerability that allows attackers to inject malicious scripts into web pages viewed by other users. And then you have the different type of cross-site scripting, such as the store one, the reflected, and the DRM-based cross-site scripting. And then to mitigate this type of attack, you have to use the input validation, the output encoding, and use the security header. So as I mentioned earlier, so the fraud hypothesis, so we basically found several issues or several flaws about our target, which is capital 2. So you have to, based on the flaw or the vulnerability, we saw, each student or each person must be able to find the root cause and mitigate by the action. So the vulnerability, so we have the Apache 2.0, the tool, we have the cross-site scripting, and then we have the DOS by using the port 80. So, and then by doing the research of the Apache web server, we found that this version contained a denial of service vulnerability that attacker can remotely send the server an HTTP GET request that can harm the host or the web server. So now to trace the vulnerability to root cause. So for instance, so the remote host is vulnerable to a flaw that can allow the attacker to bypass the authentication. So the attack vector you see is the Apache data, and then we have the port 80. So the version of Apache that we install on the remote host is advertising a version older that 2.0.52. So this type of version may be affected by several issues, such as the DOS and the cross-site scripting. And then we have the port 80 denial of service, which is a distributed denial of service attack, which is an attempt to make a machine or network resource unavailable to his user. And then we have some recommendation for vulnerability disclosure. So this topic is biased. It's a biased topic in the security community. So the two main approaches to this is the responsible disclosure and the full disclosure. So the responsible disclosure just mean the full disclosure just mean that this will put the individual at risk of harm sooner, and those harms may be irreversible and onerous. And then we have the references that we use, which is the Ntamack website, the NICTO website, and then the OWASP website. Thank you.